it's funny when some of maybe the aunties and stuff, come over here, son, and get a picture. We kind of Jesse handing the horseshoe to the bride and stuff, and the bride's going, "Oh no, mum, no, he doesn't do that sort of stuff." And I'm like, "I do everything. Just let me get the fucking horseshoe. I'll do the fucking horseshoe picture. That's what I'm here for, you know."
The goal isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creatives, where we sit down often with a special guest and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. This is a special episode brought to you by Photography Farm in anticipation of Thrive 2022 happening this March. Thrive is an all-star wedding photography workshop taught this year by 6 phenomenal mentors, and we've teamed up with Farm to bring you 6 episodes so you get to know your mentors a little bit more. In this episode, we are reintroducing you to our friend Sean Bell, who is another repeating podcast guest. But if you missed his last podcast, let's get reacquainted. Before we do, though, Greg, what is that lovely steaming glass structure full of?
What?
I don't know.
This is, I bought the biggest bags of coffee last time I bought them. 1 kilo bags. Mm-hmm. So we're still drinking through the Hard Lines coffee.
Hard Lines.
This is the house party blend.
Yeah. Do you want to pour it over the podcast desk? Because we're crazy.
Sean, thanks for joining us. Have you got anything to drink on your end?
I've got a coffee, yeah, but to be honest, it's decaf, which is, I know it's not very hardcore, is it? But it's 3 o'clock and I've already had 3. So yeah, it's a pretty bog standard instant decaf, guys. I'm sorry, I'm not more fancy than that.
It's okay, we'll let you off.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've had all my good stuff in the morning, but I don't want to overpush it.
Yeah, well, if I begin to speak too fast, just tell me, because like I said before we hit record, we've just finished podcasting with Rebecca Carpenter. So we've gone through a full V60 already of coffee, as well as drinking some soda. So I'm pretty buzzed already, but let's keep it going.
Oh, God, were you guys on this morning? So
yes.
With Rebecca this morning?
Yes, and it was a little bit of a shit show. We had so many technical issues. So if we cut out, it might happen. It might happen if we cut out, okay. So just bear with us. And yes, and that's why if you're watching the video of this, you're thinking, why does he never change his clothes? Well, that's why. I do change my clothes. We're just batch recording. Anyway, Sean, how have you been?
How have I been?
Yeah.
Good the past couple of months. I've had a break, which has been really nice. Shot my last elopement. I think, where was it? December 20th.
Okay. So
yeah, that was it was a pretty crazy year, 2021 for a lot of people, wasn't it? So it was really nice just to get to end of December and down tools. So I've just been lounging about, watching telly. It's been great.
Yeah. What have you been watching?
Loads of Trigger Happy TV. Dumb Jolly, which has been really good. But yeah, lots of Netflix, binging on Netflix stuff, like Afterlife and things like that. Lots of documentaries on UFOs and
all right,
just a wide gamut of stuff, as well as just catching up with a big long list of films that I want to see that I've never seen before. So,
So the question I have to ask then: Are we alone in the universe? Which, funnily enough, is not the first podcast episode that we've asked that question.
Oh, really? Have you had this before?
We asked Nick Tucker.
Yeah.
Because, he likes to go deep into things, and I, too, like to go quite deep into weird things. So, yeah. But what's your thoughts on aliens?
Oh, 100% they're there. I saw something about 2010. Yeah, I saw something and it totally changed my worldview on that, and I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, a YouTube rabbit hole of UFOs, and to be honest, that was not a good thing. YouTube's it's not the place, but these documentaries are amazing. It's I think things are just slowly being leaked out, disclosure wise, but not 100%. Yeah, there's too much. There's too much, and why should we think that we are the only things kicking about? You know.
That is very true. That's very true. I suppose let's get more detail with that question. So when we spoke to Nick Tucker, he asked the same question to me after I had asked him. My thoughts were, we're not alone, but they're probably not flying around our atmosphere. And I'm talking about aliens, not UFOs, which are just unidentified flying objects. They are not the same as aliens. Yeah. But like you just said, I don't think we're alone in the universe. But I don't think they're flying around our atmosphere. However, what's your thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. You should check out that documentary, but it's interesting. A lot of military cover-ups and a lot of reverse engineering sort of stuff. And I don't know. A lot of the time, I'm pretty level-headed about that sort of stuff, but really intrigued and open to stuff. I don't know. There's talk of like them using Earth as a little sort of stop off to other places, but there've been sightings and loads of weird phenomena, always round about nuclear bases and military bases, all the time throughout history, especially during the sort of Cold War and things like that. So it's I find it really fascinating. It's almost as if they're saying to us like, don't use these big horrible nuclear things. It's black powder basically. So yeah, they've gone to nuclear bases apparently and stopped things from happening and turned off machinery and various stuff like that. So
okay.
Yeah. Who knows? I'm open to it.
Yeah.
I'm kind of open to this.
Sorry, I think we had a bit of a delay on the last podcast. And I'm not sure if I'm working with a delay now. So if I'm interrupting you, it's just because I'm anticipating a pause and I'm trying to smooth over the delay. So I apologize if I'm interrupting. When you said earlier, when you saw something, did you mean with your own eyes in the sky? Or are you talking about, I've seen loads of videos and stuff?
No, I saw something. Yeah.
What did you see?
That's what kind of kick-started all this off, really, for me. Because before I was like anybody else. I was like, yeah, whatever. But that definitely done something. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I was like, yeah, it's this, it's that. I was trying to like be really hypercritical about, or sort of just really figure it out. And there has to be some explanation for it. But the more I thought about it, it was like, no, definitely not. Mm-hmm.
So what did you see?
So yeah. So it was November 2010, clear day, windless, and I was walking up morning, maybe 9 o'clock in the morning, walking up my street, and I saw this black object in the sky, which I thought was a bin bag, floating sort of bin bag, that sort of vibe.
Yeah, very beautiful.
Bin bag, beautiful thing, beautiful in the wind.
Yep. Very American.
But there was no wind.
What's that movie, American Beauty?
What was that?
With the bag
American
in the wind,
Beauty, when he films the bag with the leaves.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It's a
beautiful
black bag. It's one of my favourite little frames. So yeah, it was moving and looked like it was under power, like a straight line, deadly silent. Couldn't work out how far away it was, but it felt close because I didn't know the size of it. So you're looking at it going, I don't know how big that is. Is that far away? Is it small? And the shape kept sort of morphing. So it was black diamondy, then it was like sort of balloonish, hot air balloonish, but then it was black diamondy again. And I just kept trying to explain it. But it was one of those where I stopped dead in my tracks. It was like, I just couldn't, your eyes are trying to work something out.
Yeah.
And I came to nothing. And it was definitely under power because there was no wind. And it was moving fairly quickly, and it just went straight line over the trees, over the back of the houses. And so that was maybe watching it for 30 seconds or something.
Yeah.
So then I went down into YouTube, into the rabbit hole, obviously.
Of course.
And like long nights. I found something online, some videos with objects that looked really similar. in the local area, shot fairly recently to that date, and all over the world as well, some in America too.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
So, I don't know. Is it military? I don't know, but it was definitely deadly silent and no jets or anything coming out.
I had a not quite a similar situation when I was younger. I was having I must have been about 12, 13, 14-ish area. I was having this stereotypical moment with my father. We're doing telescoping at night. It was crystal clear in the border, so there's not much light pollution, and we were just lying on the ground, like just looking up, and he was teaching me about the constellations. And I remember seeing this dot. It was just light. It was just a it kind of looked like a normal satellite. If you've ever seen one, they move just in a straight line. But this thing was over here, and then it very aggressively moved straight over, and then it stopped, and then it went like in a zigzag, and then just shot away. And I'm not much of a, like I said, I don't think they're in our atmosphere or whatever, but I have no explanation for what that was. Because nothing can move that fast. But
nothing terrestrial sort of moves in those ways, isn't it? And I think that's the biggest thing when people are citing these things. They say that a lot. Yeah, the sort of the pace and the dead stops and the pace that they kind of go at. It would kill a human. The sort of G-force.
Yeah. And
unless it's
and drones weren't a thing then. It's not like I saw a DJI drone. I'm a 35-year-old man now. So that was a long time ago. But Anyway, let's get off the topic of aliens. Tell us about your last shoot.
What was my last shoot?
December.
In December. Mm-hmm. December. I was filming, actually. Yeah.
Really?
I was on the sharp end of a GH5. Yeah, I was filming. Justina was doing photographs. It was up at Glencoe. And it was I think that people are, couples are brave, to get by in Glencoe on 20th of December, aren't they?
Hell yeah.
That's brave.
I love it. It's brave, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
So it's cool. It's early morning ceremony, obviously 11:30, just because light obviously falls off like super early. It was good. It's really, really good. Nice to be filming as well. Something a bit different for the last job of the year. And
So it was a
nice old day.
I haven't listened back to the podcast since we recorded, and for those who are interested, it was episode 35. Episode 35 you were last on, and I'm pretty sure you were talking about just getting into doing video or something. Am I right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you had shot anything.
COVID hit.
And then COVID hit. So what were you producing for the couple? How long were you out there?
When we were shooting in Glencoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. So we started early at a nice wee cottage in Glenetta. It was cool. Little place down in Glenetta. So we done some prep there. And then first look, so we started about 8 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, because ceremony's 11:30. Yeah, shot a day up to, they got married up at this little loch-in near Signal Rock. Do you know Signal Rock, guys? Do you know that area?
That's where Hagrid's hut was, isn't it?
It's up that direction, I think.
Oh, from Harry Potter. Sorry, this is very Harry Potter.
Right, okay, sorry.
Sorry.
I know nothing about Harry Potter. Sorry.
That's all right. Signal Rock, yes.
Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, it's near anyway, ceremony there, lovely ceremony, like proper milk pond, beautiful bluish sort of light going on over the semi-snow-capped hills, and just like the light was incredible, really like already cinematic, just a lovely bluish tinge, tealy tinge to the sky, and it was lovely. Yeah, so we shot there, really calm weather, not super cold or not classic Glencoe in winter. And Justina and I got them in the van, and we ran around to like 2 or 3 locations in the Glen, and then ended up doing a first dance in the headlights off our camper van along the Etted Road.
Nice.
Which is a nice way for the couple just to, before they went for their dinner, just do a wee first dance in the headlights for some
very
light
cool
tunes.
Have you finished the video? Is it all done?
No, I'm working on it now.
Okay.
I had a couple of other films to edit as well from last year, so I'm just getting them out the door.
Very cool.
And this one I'm just starting to sort of collate it and things like that. I'm really slow at the editing just now. I mean, I know you guys know what you're doing, but I've got to take my time and find my flow.
To be honest, there is no fast way to edit.
It's strange. I don't know if you guys have done it a lot more, and it's this whole. When I sit down to a photo edit, I know, like, I can look at it and say, yeah, that's going to be done within the next day and a half. That's going to be, you kind of feel where that's going to be. With a film edit, I can sit there and do a lot, and I don't know if that's going to be finished tomorrow or maybe in 2 weeks. Yeah. It's that sort of, and it's almost as if it only makes sense right up into the last minute, and then it's right, okay, that's it all together. Whereas I'm never feeling very close to the end, but then suddenly the end arrives, and it's like, oh, that's it, that is it. Is that how it works?
And then you sit back and watch it, and you're like, oh, I'm going to tweak this wee bit, and then all of a sudden you have to like restructure the whole thing. 2 weeks later.
At the moment, so the way I edit, you've got all your different parts of the day, and they're imported into their own little timeline. So you've got the speeches, you've got the ceremony, all at their own separate sequences. And I will do the culling in those little sequences, and then I will copy those good clips into the big timeline. And it's from that big timeline where I jigsaw all the pieces to tell a story or whatever it is. I'm sitting now with the most recent wedding that we just shot, with so many cool things that we did, and I'm sitting there and I don't know where to start, which doesn't often happen.
Okay.
It doesn't often happen.
Right.
So yeah, I still need to select the music, and maybe when I do that, things will come together a bit more. But yes, I'm left to ponder how I'm going to start, finish the stuff in the middle. I have no idea. So yes, quite often.
Maybe this one's more of a struggle because the last two edits that we've done have both had express turnaround added to them. So you've went in knowing, right, I need to complete this by a certain date. And it's quite a soon date. So with this one, it's like, well, I need it done within 3 to 4 months. So maybe that's why you're being a bit more procrastinating.
Maybe. But the struggle's real. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know how you do it. I thought that there'd be some sort of formula that you would fall into, and you would know. But I guess, like, you do such varied work in terms of weddings and elopements and things like that, and then your creative ideas as well, because you don't do chronological stuff, or do you? Do you do a chronological edit?
Never do chronological.
No, never.
One time we shot this lovely Italian wedding, and I was like, yes, I've done the best I could do on this thing. And the client came back and said, we don't actually like that time stuff that you're doing. Can you just put it all in chronological order? And I really felt that hit there. Because I was like, fuck, I've just done this really incredible edit. But it wasn't for them. So, I mean, that was early days. But still, no. One thing I do normally like...
film.
So the films that we do are like, well, we say 15 to 20 sometimes. Especially for this wedding, when we've got so much, it's usually going to creep up to the 25-minute mark. But that's only because I'm just absolutely terrible at deciding what the couple should not see. because there's just so much good shit. Because we're that good, Sean. We're that good.
Yeah, that's it. I know. Just that well-oiled machine.
Yeah.
Every clip's a banger.
Yeah, that's right. No, I'm just not that good at editing. So, I do need to. I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe I should just be like, I'm going to set this to 15 minutes, no more, and it'll be. Yeah.
That's it.
Or you know what? Baby steps. 20 minutes. 20 minutes on the dot. Anyway,
that's a lot. That is a long film, man. I just finished one just now, and it was a wedding on Razzie, and that was just shy of 10 minutes, I think. And I felt that I was really pushing it in terms of what I had to put in. I felt I was maybe putting in clips that maybe weren't top end, you know?
Yeah. Sometimes I feel that we do that, especially when it comes down to the look of a shot. Quite often I will make a shot go in the film if it has like bad lighting, but the moment's really good. Yeah. And I know a lot of filmmakers do that as well, but I don't know. It seems to... Yeah, I find it hard to say no to...
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. I think I was reading about recently about that, and he's got like a hierarchy of things in film where emotion sort of sits at the top, and you've got all these elements where it's like ease of movement, you know, like eye line, playing a movement, you know, is that off-putting? Is the eye line right? Is the light and blah, 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 blah. And if you've got a certain amount of these elements, then that's cool. That makes it good. But emotional always came at the very, very top, you know, even if it's, you know, against lighting or ease of movement or continuity or all that sort of stuff. It was right at the top. So, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the struggle
muddy tungsten lit stuff, but it's happy vibes, and it will go in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Anyway,
and we shoot in a whole load of like dark castles in Scotland, so you know that stuff happens quite frequently.
Absolutely.
So thank you for joining us again on this podcast.
Cool.
I. Obviously, doing some pre-production notes, I got to read your bio, which I don't remember if it was the same as when you last recorded, but I love this. So your bio reads, born in Scotland under a wandering star. Kind of makes you sound like Jesus Christ of the wedding photography world.
No, it was more. It was just like an old country song, isn't it? I don't know. I have no idea. No idea when it came from. Yeah,
sounds good.
I don't know. You're right. But you continue on, right? You continue on with almost the religiosity when you described your baptism of fire regarding your earlier career as a junior photographer at a local newspaper. Is that right? I just thought, that language is quite biblical. I quite enjoy it.
That's interesting because I'm the least religious person ever. But no, I think the baptism of fire. I think that's possibly from Lisa. I think Lisa's maybe written that in.
Oh, really? Okay.
But the part, I don't know.
We're definitely gonna have to ask Lisa.
An old one.
Yeah, definitely gonna have to ask Lisa about that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, she's given me some. Yeah, give me some biblical input.
Yeah,
definitely not that. Yeah, but the Wandering Star, but that's I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, guys. You know what it's like writing a bio.
Yeah.
Yes, no, absolutely. But for those people who are
works on Tuesday. Yeah.
For those listeners who haven't bought their tickets to Thrive yet, if you want to see the Jesus Christ of wedding photography, buy your tickets to Thrive 2022 in Glasgow and Brighton. Sorry, John.
I'll go with that.
So I like I said, I didn't get a chance to re-listen to our podcast before recording this or before even writing our notes. But you mentioned something about shooting your first wedding for a new guitar amp, and I can't remember if we talked about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you reluctantly shot your first wedding to pay for a guitar amp. Is this correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So
That is absolutely correct.
in case we didn't talk about this on the last episode, which was episode 35, tell us the story of your first wedding and this guitar amp, which clearly was an incredible piece of equipment that you just had to buy.
Yeah, absolutely. I was working as a junior at that time, I think. Yeah, I must have been. Yeah, I was working as a junior at the Evening News, Edinburgh Evening News.
Oh, right, okay.
I had high aspirations of becoming a photojournalist. I wanted to be a Magnum photographer and roam the world and bring back stories. And I ended up at the Evening News shooting wheelie bins and various angry parking attendants and
plastic bags,
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful plastic bags.
Stuff there as well. What was that, mate?
Beautiful plastic bags flowing in the wind.
Oh yeah, flowing in the wind.
Yeah,
side lit, off camera flash.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely. We weren't allowed to use direct flash. My picture editor wouldn't let us use direct flash. It always had to be off camera.
Oh, really? Why?
For the he just didn't like direct flash, and off camera was. So we had to light everything. Even if it was just a really like standard news job, it had to be. He just wanted to differentiate. But anyway, first wedding was a friend of a friend, and I was on a salary, obviously, but it wasn't great as a junior, and I was still playing in a band. We were like really serious, 4 nights a week rehearsal, gigs at the weekend, trying to get signed. Desperately, and I just had this really old beat up amp, and we're starting to play bigger venues and things like that, starting to play King Tut's and in the venue and the liquid rooms and things, and I really wanted this bigger sound. I felt like the sound was just so weedy in this guitar amp, but I just couldn't afford it on my wages because all my wages were just like bills and spoken for.
Got
the chance. So I got a chance to shoot a friend of a friend's wedding, and that furnished me with a new Marshall GCM 900 4x12.
Ooh, nice.
Big half stack, which was beefy. What I loved about it was you could play the D chord, and you know a D chord is you were just playing the guitar there, Simon. So a D chord's kind of quite weedy, isn't it? It's not because it's like the top 3 strings, so it sounds really weedy. But I'd gone to see other bands and they were playing D for sure, but it sounded big and beefy, and that Marshall amp was
using D.
That was the answer. Go for it.
That's it right there.
Oh, beautiful.
Is that the chord you're talking about right there? The D.
That's a beautiful chord. I can't see because you're all pixelated, but it
terrible.
Sounds like a D. What kind of guitar is it?
It's a Martin and Co.
Lovely.
I totally love this guitar. I'm not much of a player. I just do chords, but I used to write.
You can play D.
I can play D and G. I can give you a G.
Yeah.
I won't. I'll let you.
Well, I mean, you only need 3, don't you? Really, that's it. You're sorted.
That's right.
That's what's fascinating about music is the 3 chords, but in different sort of orders and different times. Do you think of all the songs in the world that have done that? That's really interesting.
Yeah.
How we've not run out yet, you know. Anyway, enough of that.
Yeah.
So I shot the wedding, I got the amp, and happy days, and still playing in a band and trying to make it whilst photography was running alongside all that. Mm-hmm. So it was it was a good time. It was really good.
Cool. What was your band name?
I didn't think X Tigers. I was in a few bands. X Tigers, it was a really shite name, to be honest, but but no idea. Again, like Wandering Star, no idea where it came from.
Fair enough. And was your first wedding, was it successful?
I think it was. It was in Ireland, actually, so straight away, destinations.
Yeah. Look at you, already travelling the world.
Yeah, no, rock and roll. No, it was really good, actually. It was a friend of a friend, so I guess it was a little bit easier. I knew people, so it was absolutely fine. But I was doing crazy shit, like because that whole off-camera flash thing at the newspaper. I was still a young photographer. I took over like a light stand and a brolly to the couple shoot.
Oh yes.
to the signing of the register in the church.
What?
Fucking brolly on a stand.
Amazing.
I could never picture you doing that now.
Oh, that is so far from your what you do now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like honestly, camera flash, SB28 flash, off camera, brolly, everybody, dragging in my big Manfrotto stand while they're signing the bonkers is that.
Amazing. Did you do the whole fake signing?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, what a shot! What a shot!
Everything.
Yeah.
Horseshoes. Oh man, the whole thing. I'd have to look at that stuff. I'm going to drag out some old stuff for Farm.
Yeah.
Just to because I saw someone else do that at Farm. I thought it was quite good. But yeah, I'll definitely drag out some old stuff.
Yeah, in fact, let's just, since we're talking about Photography Farm again, another friendly reminder to buy your tickets. Lisa says buy your tickets. She doesn't, I'm saying that on her behalf, but I think she'd appreciate me telling you to buy your tickets. Buy your tickets, it's going to be good. And if you like what you're hearing on this podcast, you can support us at patreon.com/perspective by Cinemate. For as little as £1, you can support us. And we would very much appreciate you doing so. But you don't have to. You can get this podcast for free, wherever you get your podcast. However, Greg, hit that button. That 7th coffee is certainly hitting me right now. Sean, obviously you have been on the podcast before. But let's not assume everyone is an avid listener of this podcast. So, who are you and what do you do?
My name's Sean Bell, and I'm based just outside Edinburgh in Scotland, and I shoot weddings and elopements. I'm a wedding and elopement photographer from Bonnie, Scotland.
Bonnie, Scotland.
Aye, that's right, son.
And
yes.
So you mentioned earlier that you also do some video work, so video, photo. What packages do you sort of offer your clients? What's available to the couples?
To the couples. So there's photography. For me, it's a full day, whether it's an elopement or a wedding. It's a full day. So weddings tend to be about 10, 11, 12 hours coverage, and that's my one thing. For elopements, I do a 6 hour, and an 8 to 10 hour kind of longer day for elopements. Because some elopements are maybe Edinburgh based and they don't want that, it's kind of a smaller affair. And the Highland stuff is definitely a lot longer because there's locations, you know what it's like, multi-locations, stuff like that. For film, I'm working with my partner, Justina, and that's a different thing. That's sort of separate just now. We are elopers. So Justina is shooting the photography, all the stills, and I shoot wee videos. Films alongside it, so that's picking up. We've got more gigs this year. It's been a real slow burn. Obviously COVID had a bit of an impact on that, but it's just very slowly picking up, and I don't want to jump into it like massively quickly. I feel like I want to learn the craft very sort of marinate in the craft and learn it slowly. I don't want to over cook it with having like piles and piles of edits.
That's right.
Taking back with films or taking on things that I don't feel that I'm comfortable taking. I'll turn stuff down if I feel it's above my sort of remit currently where I'm at regards films. But I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm learning a new program. I've started using Resolve and stuff like that. So that's cool. Taking me in different directions and just really trying to find my way with it. But still, it's really exciting as well as. It's learning. It's not like I've dialed in photography completely. I'm still learning loads about that, but I feel where I am at films right now is my first couple of years of photography, and it's still quite new. And there's, I can progress kind of a little bit quicker, week to week. New things are kind of all coming in. It's
So
that's what's happening now.
Are your films as tasty as you're describing, wanting them to be?
Tasty.
So you used a whole load of cooking descriptive words there. when you were describing.
Did I?
You did.
You did this, man. You did it, like picking religious cookery and all the rest of it. Yeah.
I like the imagery. I think it's fantastic. You're doing it so naturally you don't even notice. But yes, you described it as if you're cooking the perfect meal, and yeah, it's beautiful. So are your films as tasty as you're describing them, sir?
No, I'd leave that up to you, man. But seriously, I know what. It's funny. I know roughly where I want to get to, but it's with photography. When I'm trying to get to somewhere, it's a quicker A to B, because I've been doing it a long, long time, and that's only just because I've been doing it a long, long time. And I don't. It's not got to do with anything to do with talent or anything like that. It's just I've been doing it a long, long time, and I've gone down a lot of dead ends and made all the fuck ups and all the. Over a lot of years, so I can get if I get to a look, I can get to it a lot quicker. Film, especially because there's so many different elements going on with audio and narrative, and there's just so much more going on. It's like if I detune a guitar. That's how I feel with film. If I use a new open tuner on a guitar, my old chord shapes don't work anymore, and I've just got to feel my way around the fretboard until something happens.
Hang on. I have to ask you, what's your favourite open chord tuning? Because mine's Gad. I'm a big fan of Gad.
Dad.
Yeah, Dad.
Absolutely, 100%. I've got Dad on the go just now, but also Dad F-sharp AD for some bluesy stuff.
Yes,
so you can do some. When I'm playing slide, I'll use Dad F-sharp AD. But for just droning around, getting all Mogwai and stuff, it's Dadgad for sure, man. Yeah, Dadgad. You can't go wrong with that, really.
I agree.
When I'm experimenting with other stuff, is it EBE, F-sharp-ED or something like that kind of. I just don't know where I am, and that's the thing. That's what I feel like with video right now. I'm just feeling around, roughly knowing where I want to go, but it's taking me a lot longer to get there. But also making loads of sometimes nice mistakes along the way, but a lot of frustrations as well. So it's. Yeah.
Well, to answer Simon's questions, your films are tasty. They look great. Like you were very understated earlier when you said making wee videos. They're beautiful.
In fact, I'll ask you this. Can you send us a couple of your film clips and we can show people on the podcast what exactly you do? Would that be all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm working on a trailer just now that I would send over. I don't know when you would need it by, but
just whenever. It doesn't,
because that's the most recent stuff. I feel the most recent is probably kind of starting to get to somewhere that I'm happier with. But
cool. Yeah. Okay.
But absolutely happy to do that, and that means a lot from you guys for sure.
Yeah. So let's move away from the video just for a little bit, because obviously your talk's more photography based, right? For those who haven't seen your work, describe your style.
See, that's really difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I get this. And I guess I'm just going to go by when couples get in touch, and I've got a little bit in my website form. Say, what is it about my work that attracted you? And I always get the drama, ethereal, moody. What was the other one the other day? The use of the landscape, rugged but still glamorous.
Rugged and still glamorous.
I don't know. But I don't really. But I would hope that it was. All that stuff's fine. Yeah, I can deal with that.
Cool.
Subtle, demure, classic, but with always a nod to that more understated cinematic-y type thing.
Yeah. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Again, we do ask that from quite a lot of guests to describe their style, and it is always a hard one. Yeah. It's hard if we were to describe our style, because I don't know. How do you describe it in a way that kind of makes sense? Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. But
it's all just words, isn't it? And it's really.
Yeah.
I think the best, because I was thinking about this for the site, and it's what we put up as photographers. A lot of people are putting up authentic and storytelling and cinematic and so I'm now just gathering stuff, I guess, like from what these couples have said,
Yeah.
Because it's what they see in it that's really important to me. I'm just going with what I feel like shooting, and I don't try and shoehorn anything specific into my work. I just shoot how I shoot. I can only do what me, you know.
Yeah, you do you, and you do it the best.
But I've definitely, we're unique. But I'm picking up bits from everywhere, like everybody is, aren't we? We're all like magpies, and we pick up little bits and pieces from every. There's no conscious way trying to be something else or do something else, and everybody's had such different backgrounds and such different pathways to hear that people are going to be so different. That's what's cool about photography and the arts in general. That even if you tried, when I try and play like guitar or try and do something in exactly the same way, you could maybe hit all the same notes at exactly the same time, but it'll never sound like that guitarist because they have something that's completely different, the timing or the way that they're kind of playing the string. It's there's nuances and everything like that. So I feel that way with photography too. Definitely there's people that I really admire, and especially film. I think the color palettes of film, and but I could never reach that. But you just end up with whatever comes out, really. Yeah.
So, obviously, you mentioned your kind of woes when it comes to video editing. How long does it take you to edit photographs from an elopement or a wedding? Does it come pretty naturally and quickly, or do you spend a lot of time kind of agonizing over the smaller moments?
So it really depends, and it's often stuff that you think is going to be okay. So like an elopement, for example, if they have a nice prep room, it's got nice big windows with good natural light, and that's not like a ball ache to work in. It's all very kind of uniform light, and then you go outside and it's overcast all day, and you think that that's going to be an easy edit because it's all fairly sort of samey. Sometimes they can be really hard, like overcast, flat, like a bit of a hassle with contrast and stuff like that. And then other days, like the sunny ones where you think it's going to be really difficult to work with, harsh shadows and all that can work out fine. So I take it edit to edit. I try not to be too cookie cutter or whatever you want to call it with edits. I take a different approach to it because an autumnal wedding in the sun is different from a pissing wet summer wedding in Scotland. It's really, they're so different in terms of preset that I would use. I've got a big long line of presets that I use for that. So but to answer the question, it's things have sped up my workflow, obviously, culling, like a culling narrative and things like that, and that's really helped speed up that. Justina helps with culling now too, which is great. So a couple of days or something maybe. I'll go through, do that initial sweep through, edit, and then the next day, I guess like a film, you'll go back to it and your eyes are maybe a bit different. You'll see things, and I'll start agonizing over things. But I'm really particular about lines, straight angles, things that are in the way, clutter. I don't like any of that stuff. So I do my best to really eliminate all that while I'm shooting. Obviously, get it right in camera. Get pretty anal about that, and that takes time. So I do deliberate over like edits a lot, maybe more than others. Sometimes 2 days, 3 days. It depends. It really depends, job to job. The weddings, you know what they're like.
I have to say I loved your description of when it's a pain to go into like a prep room. You described it as a ball ache. So what makes a prep a ball ache? Like when you go into a room, you're like, oh fuck, I have to work this. What are we talking about?
Yeah, totally. So just like smallish windows, not a great deal of natural light. Or sometimes you go in and the windows are fucking super low to the floor or something, so you've got that real uplight. You've got like catch lights right at the, you just awful kind of lighting, and that's where they're doing their makeup or whatever, or the groom's trying to get ready there. Lower light, but just a wash of tungsten or different kind of lighting temperatures as well. Clutter everywhere, people everywhere, and it's that last one I think we shot. Not the December one, but anyway, there was the room was too small for the amount of people that should have been in there. and all the sort of weird lighting, wrong lighting, and clutter and noise, and it's just trying to like sort of laser eyes through that stuff and sort of like take that out and just scope out what would work best in terms of, right, I want to make some really nice quiet portraits here, because that's what they've paid for ultimately, because they've seen my work and they want that vibe. But this room right now is not really that feel. It's just a fucking a bomb of clutter.
Aye.
So I work with people really and scoping out things, taking all the clutter aside, and always ask for a kind of 10 minutes with the bride or groom kind of beforehand. But it's just really trying to be calm through all that and think, I will get what I want, but I just have to work it a wee bit. Modifying the lights and turning things off and on and moving around and stuff like that. You know what it's like.
Yeah. So the talk you're giving at Thrive it's titled Shooting Wedding Day Preparations. So we don't want to cover too much about that, but why should people care about how they shoot the morning preps? Why does it matter so much?
It's so important, and I said this. I took over on the Farm Insta on Monday, and I was kind of waxing lyrical about how important prep is, and it's the part of the day that it's the foundations. I don't want to give too much away with my talk, but it's the foundations of kind of the full day. So we're kind of laying down the foundations. We're cultivating that relationship with the couple in the morning. We're getting them comfortable with us. We're getting comfortable settling into the day. It's a time where I can learn a lot as well. I send out a big Q&A to the couples, but often they sort of admit stuff that they might not think is actually relevant or whatever. But in the morning, you're speaking to them, you're asking about the relationships between different people, or stuff that they've maybe been bought, by a special relative, or like a detail shot, that suddenly that's a really important detail because that was left by their granny, or stuff like that. But it's just a really important time to cultivate that relationship with your bride and groom for later and for like throughout the day, and to meet the bridal party or the wedding party, and you becomes, make them your sort of allies, and they'll help you throughout the day. And that way, it makes the rest of the day so much easier if you go in and have a really good experience at prep. And I think that allows me later on to get those intimate portraits, have a bit of fun with a couple, because I've spent all that time in the morning really, really trying to get them on board. They know already. I mean, I've obviously prepped them before prep, and the chats leading up to it. But it's a different person on a Zoom call than it is when you turn up 2 hours before they're about to say I do, and they're stressed out of their minds, and and you're physically there shooting. So it's a real good time. To wander around the periphery a wee bit, just suss like the movers, the shakers, and learn what they're like, and see how much you can go in, see how much you have to step back, and maybe just have to be in the exterior a wee bit, and that sort of stuff. And also amazing for portraits. I love it for just creating nice portraits, because you've got a bit of time with them, and you've had a couple of hours maybe scope out some cool lighting areas, or just nice kind of locations to shoot. And it's my favourite time. It's one of my favourite times of day. And I'm also awake at that point as well, which helps.
That helps.
I'm just kind of 15 minutes kind of either side of a couple of coffees. So it's a good time. It's a creative time.
What's it like to work with a video team during preps? Because sometimes the rooms can be quite small, and like you say, sometimes the room can be a fucking ball, like you said, the mixed lighting. Like when I go into a room, it's not the first thing I do, but when I start engaging my filmmaking brain, which is not the first thing I do when I go to preps, but that's by the by. The first thing I'll do is find natural light, and I'll switch off the light, and sometimes that can make the room quite dark. But I've usually put on the charm for the bridesmaids and the makeup artist to make sure that everything's okay before I do that. But that can be quite annoying. unless maybe it's not. So what's it like when we do that?
Yeah. No, but
Be
that's
nice.
pretty much the first thing I do as well, guys, in terms of if it's really honking, tungsten lighting, like certainly from above, like the big light, you know, the big light, Scottish, for the central light in the living room.
Yeah.
Turn off the big light, because that's just a horrible wash down the way, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Small tungsten lamps sometimes work if you've got a nice bluish kind of winter light going on, and you can mix it for that thing. But yeah, I know what you mean. I always say like, oh, it's much better you're going to get much more flattering portraits if I turn these lights off.
Yeah.
Which is true. But yeah, that really depends, because some of these rooms, like there's a couple of rooms that I've now said to Brendan, like, don't go into that room at that particular venue, because it's absolutely almost unworkable. Tiny little credit card slip for a window, and then just all manner of honking lights. So but working with you guys is absolutely fine. You know what you're doing, but I try and, I guess, liaise with videographers and collaborate. And it, you know, that can be difficult when it's a small room. There's lots going on, but we're all trying to get the same thing, and I don't mind it at all. It's fine when it's experienced and lovely guys like you. When it's newer videographers, it's when it's newer videographers, that can be different, because they've not maybe developed that sense of when to go in and when to come out, and what's appropriate.
Well,
but that's cool.
Yeah, so that's actually something interesting that I hadn't really thought of. Like, obviously, we do this podcast to educate and to entertain all those who are new to the industry and who have been shooting for 10, 15 years. But yeah, we don't often work alongside another videography team. It's always a photographer, obviously. Having two video teams at one wedding doesn't really make sense. So we've never actually seen any of these struggles. Obviously, we've lived through some of the struggles, but what are some of the struggles that filmmakers deal with from your point of view for preps and stuff? What are the struggles?
In terms of from the filmmaking side? So just from working with the video, what do you see that they struggle with? It's a good question. I think the only thing I would say, I never feel sorry for videographers. I always feel like...
Do people feel sorry for us?
No, I never feel sorry for them. So I'm just like, yeah, that's fucking lovely. Look at that. Just, blah, blah. But what I find is, if it's a single man team, they've got to rush off because they've got to set up audio and all the rest of it for prep. So I think they miss a lot of the good stuff, like that 5 minutes before with the bride or the groom. Yeah. Especially the bride generally, it's like, and they're always deliberating. Should I stay here and get the dad coming into the room, or do I have to go and set up the audio for the guys in the ceremony spot? And that seems to be like the biggest thing. And it's amazing, because some of those moments I'm like, this is gold. Like, this is absolutely gold. This would be amazing on video. So that's for single shooters. I know you guys do it differently, but
we do tend to do it separately.
Otherwise, for filmmakers.
Sorry, there's definitely a delay. So we still do have that issue sometimes if we're in the same venue, and I'm the only person who drives at a wedding just for economy and save the planet and all that kind of good stuff.
Save the planet.
Yeah, drive less. You don't need two vehicles, so I'll drive Greg everywhere. But it does mean that I need to then leave to get Greg to the church or whatever to set up and stuff. So we still have that sometimes, but like if I know that's going to happen, and it doesn't always happen. The bride scene, the father seeing the bride for the first time in her dress, doesn't always happen. If I know it's going to happen, I will talk to the photographer and be like, maybe we can advise this happens a little bit earlier, or we try to get the dress on a little bit quicker, which isn't something I like to do that early on. Like, usually this has been discussed a little bit earlier, but things happen, and sometimes I'll have to have that conversation. But I don't like to miss those moments. So you're right. There's a lot of gold that happens in a very quick amount of time, and it's a bit of a bummer when I have to miss it. But hey-oh.
But moving on from
because it can be.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Stop interrupting, Greg.
Yeah, carry on. It's fine. Yeah.
I was just going to move it on from preps because I know a lot of that's the talk. So
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like you're known for your elopement work quite a bit. So a lot of people struggle with the approach to an elopement because they're like, oh, it's just the couple and me. There's a lot of pressure on me, and it makes it tougher for them. Did you have that sort of feeling when you first started out in elopements, or can you not relate to that?
I don't think I had that struggle. I think the biggest thing I think it's a different mindset, isn't it? And the more I do, and my answer is probably different, maybe from if we were talking 2 years ago or 3 years ago or whatever. I think it's you're with a couple for a long, long time, and there's only so many permutations of poses and things you can add in. I've started to add in a lot more, like doing little things that they're kind of psyched on. We go to the pub or whatever along the way.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Like what there's sort of the pressure on? I mean, at a wedding, you know what it's like when I don't. Well, you guys, filmmakers, it's maybe a bit different, but as soon as a couple comes out of the wedding, they run down the confetti line, they'll just look at the photographer and it's like, okay, what do we do? And then all eyes are on you. It's very sort of directed towards, we're the directors after that. So I guess I was kind of used to that. Mm-hmm. I don't think elopements are easier. I think, definitely you've really got to work hard to build something that's cohesive and not repetitive over the course of a day. So weddings are a bit different because you've got all those candids, there's all that sort of stuff, isn't it? There's stuff just happening in front of you. You're just reacting, just shooting, reacting. But for elopements, you're making it happen. And I guess that could be pressure. But I've been doing it a long, long time before.
Well,
I actually shot an elopement. I shot an elopement really, really early on, like 2006. I shot an elopement in Glencoe.
Oh, that was before it was cool.
So that's like 16 years ago since I shot my first Glencoe elopement. And it was different. Yeah, I'll maybe send you some images of that.
Yes.
There's no... it's not dramatic and moody. Very different. Mm-hmm. But it was, I wasn't even really a wedding photographer then. They just found me through some climbing forum and just thought my climbing stuff was nice. So he'll know how to shoot pictures in the mountains, and that was it. Yeah.
What was it like to bring your flash umbrella to the hills? I jest.
It was absolutely pissing my rain. Standard Glencoe. Luckily, I had a brolly attached to my flash stand.
Oh, amazing. But so let's talk about your approach to an elopement then. Run us through your approach, because like Greg said, some people do get nervous about elopements because you are more of a primary part of the day. You do need to keep your energy up a lot more, and you are a big part of how a couple are going to remember their experience of said elopement. So talk to us through your approach.
So you're right, absolutely right. It's about that experience, and probably above the pictures, probably above what the couple receive, that they'll remember that day. And it does take a lot of energy, and I think anybody jumping into this thinking it's going to be easy and it's just all going to be, you're going to end up with great pictures at the end of it. There's a lot of planning that goes in, as you know, beforehand. I work with couples even more so than ever. I think I'm working, 2-3 Skype calls ahead of the day. We're looking at locations, we're looking at plan Bs. So that's how we start to build a timeline of the day. I'm working with couples and now building timelines for them, because a lot of them are from the States or abroad, certainly, and they're like, what can we do at this? Well, that's not really going to work in Scotland at that time of year, and et cetera, et cetera. So, start off, we'll build a timeline, look at locations. I'll be sending them pictures of those locations, see if they're suitable. I'll have sometimes I like to go scouting a lot, and if I've got somewhere new, I'd like to maybe offer that to them as well. Just say,
cool.
Listen, I've not got anything from here. I'd quite like to go there.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure it'll work, but if you're up for it and it's a bit of a hike, then let's do it. So
very cool.
ahead of the day, looking at, again, it's like preps 2 hours. Advise them on accommodation if I can, because that's great, because then you can work with accommodation that you know is like really nice for prep, and it's going to be nice for them. Ultimately, this is for them. It's making your day easier. It's making their day more pleasant, and their images more pleasant at the end of it. So we'll rock up a couple of hours before, shoot lots of detail, cutaways, landscape, have a coffee, and really get to know them. And as you said, you're absolutely right about keeping that energy going. That's the biggest thing. But to be honest, I don't ever find that. I only realise how tired I am at the end of it. I'm excited as we're going around. So we'll go to ceremony spot, and then we'll look at locations that they're maybe psyched on. So I've got a couple who are eloping to Skye next. Is it this year? I think it's this year. But they're not that keen on not that keen on mountains, but they're not super psyched on mountainous. They're more into the ocean. Okay. So it's fun. You know what I mean? So I just have to go with that. So we're just looking at different locations along the coast, using a lot of coastline. That sort of thing. Obviously, the mountains will be there as well. So we'll work on things that really speaks to them, and on the day, 2 hours before, shoot the prep, and we drive them in the van. Basically, I like to have the couples in with me if possible, because it's just along the ways when the cool stuff happens. You're always like driving along and some great light happens, and if you're in Glencoe and there's some cool light, you can just stop at the roadside generally. And anywhere is kind of cool, isn't it? Like in any direction. So I often say that to couples: don't get too hung up on we're going to this location and we're going to have our photo taken right here. I love to just leave it open and see what happens. Okay, we've got them in mind, they're sort of safe, but I'm not interested in that really. I don't want to start repeating myself. As hard as it is, because couples see the work from there and go, we love this location, we want to go there. Often I'm like, guys, okay, we can have that, but let's just see what the light's doing and run around from there. So I'll try and do different locations, like from mountain vistas, woodland, and rivers and lochs, and the pub as well, obviously.
Of course, you're going to finish at the pub for a drink.
We'll stop off for a bit of lunch, or whatever they're psyched on. If they want to have a picnic, if they want to do various different things. So I'm usually with either 6 hours or 8 to 10 hours driving around. It sounds like a long time, doesn't it? But it's not, as you know, it just flies.
Disappears quick.
It does fly,
and I'll start off with like big shots, big. A lot of the couples I work with are pretty shy, so they just want to be part of the landscape. So I'm just start off with them, just let them go, and after the ceremony, let them sort of be in that glow, that wee happy bubble, and I'm just far back on a widey and just let them enjoy that landscape, and then start mixing it up a little bit more, kind of close up, intimate work, and things like that. But just always having a laugh. I think the couples are always really worried. They're just, we're going to be shit in front of the camera. We're so awkward. And I love that challenge. It's just people that come up and are like, I was working with a couple on Stack Poly. They got married in Summit in Stack Poly. Fuck, they might listen to this. That's bad, isn't it? Yeah, didn't put this on. but like the guy, fair enough. Like listen, like the guy, like she was really into the photos, but he was trad Scotsman, not that psyched. So like I would just get them into a nice sort of intimate kind of thing going on there, and I'd click like 3 frames, and you know what it's like. I'm working around and different things, detail and stuff, but after every 3 frames, click, you'd be like, is that us? Is that us? Can we move on? And, just like super, just not. There was no flow. There was no little. But that was cool. I kind of enjoyed that challenge. I was like, right, I'm going to make this guy look like a fucking movie star. This is my job. But I think it's funny because a lot of the work, I guess, I show is that moody and because I like that, or dark, maybe even melancholic. I definitely err to the side of that. Of trying to, I try and rein that in. I have to rein it in, because nobody's going to book me.
I'm with you. I like a little bit of. I like a side of depression with my happiness. It's the only way to go.
Oh, mate, absolutely. But it's funny because a lot of that stuff is we're just fucking about, we're just having a laugh the whole time, and I don't think the couples are always really surprised that that's how it is, and they're saying to me, "Did we do okay? Was that was that okay for you?" And I'm like, "Guys,
have you got enough? Have you got enough from
amazing."
this?
And they're like, "Oh, yeah, totally." And that's and yourself, when you've got enough, and when it's been great. But I think they expected it was going to be something more dramatic and directed and orchestrated, and everything was going to be all. But we were just having an absolute fucking laugh on a hillside and messing about, but still getting things that look moody and dramatic and windswept and all the rest of it. And I just want people to have a good time and. Mm-hmm. That's what it's all about. It's their experience at the end of the day. Yeah,
you were talking about your approach there, that you let them be in that pocket, and they've just got married. They're in that pocket of joy, and you are standing far back. Is that how you generally like to shoot? Because I'm the same. I get my wides. I let them appreciate. The environment that they're in. I don't want to feel like I'm there or they notice me there. And from the wide, I'll kind of start walking in, slowly, obviously, and shooting tighter and tighter until I'm like getting pretty much details of their face. I want to see their eyeballs sweating with joy.
Right.
Is that how you work from shooting wide first and then working your way in generally?
Generally, yeah. Mm-hmm. It depends on the couple. Depends how much time I've got. Some couples are like straight away, like post ceremony, just all over it, and then I'm like, right, these guys are good. Yeah, but it's really like watching the body language in the morning. And then during the ceremony, or just together in maybe they've done a first look, and right away, like that first look when they turn, and then you see them come to an embrace together, and that's the time I'm looking, going, how are they together? How do they hang together? Mm-hmm. And some are just like, boom, and it's like right away I could go straight in with the 35 here and be all, get fully immersed and see the eyeballs of joy, as you say, the joy, the full intimacy, which I like. I like that stuff, so I kind of want that. But right away you kind of get a sense, don't you, how they are. So other couples, you have to stay in the wide a lot longer and just let them wander about the landscape a bit. Yeah. But all the time, always assessing just how do they fall together. And some are going to be like. Some are really cool when they're walking, and then they'll feel clunky as soon as they don't know. And I think I said that in the farm thing. It's hands. It's all about hands, limbs, angles. Limbs are that difference between a good portrait and.
Who is this hands?
And some will naturally. What was that?
Sorry, I'm quoting Frozen. Who is this hands? Sorry, that's fucking terrible.
Hands?
I'm sorry. All about hands, yes.
Yeah. No, it's cool. But that's it's that's how I like to work, mate. Yeah, wide. And just slowly sort of creep in like a wee perv. No. Just sort of, just move in and I always say that, just allow them to allow me into their space. But to be honest, I think with a lot of them, I've done so much with them in the build-up, I don't have to. Wedding days, sometimes if I've not met them before, we've not had that whole elopement, first look all together thing, sometimes, and that's difficult, isn't it? 'Cause you've got about 20 minutes sometimes, so you've just got to force things a little bit, not force, It's the wrong word. But,
I know what you mean.
A bit more stubborn, and you have to work quickly, don't you?
Yes.
So wide and then working your way in and doing sort of classic-y stuff right away, and then start to have a bit of fun with different ideas and just try and. I think I'm talking all the time, making jokes, and really I want to be the make fun of myself. Really, if I'm looking like an idiot, they'll feel more comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So and laughter just always breaks any sort of tension. So that's definitely the answer to good portraits, is just having that laughter, but also reminding them of the enormity, kind of what's going on, and just say, "Oh, guys, this is your fucking wedding day. Look at this backdrop," and then they'll take it all in again, and then you just kind of G them up, and loads of positive feedback all the time, even when it's clunky as hell, it's looking all shonky. Kind of limb-wise, you just have to keep giving the feedback until you get what you want.
Yeah. Do you do a similar thing to me when I go to a location with my couples? I go to, say I've gone to a specific location again. I will, and obviously I'll keep this to myself, but I instantly go back to all the couples who have gotten married at this point or who have been at this point. I don't know why. It's like there's a very specific point in Skye called Brothers Point. I had a few ceremonies there, and I'll always remember the couples who got married right there, and I'll always think about them. Every single one of them.
Right.
I will go through. Obviously, I'm not going to say that to a couple. I was like, "Oh, I've been here before," because I want them to feel that this is their place. Like every couple has felt like this is their spot. And even it's funny because even though I will be able to remember every couple who have been there, to me, I can still say, "Oh, that's their spot. This is that couple's spot." Like, and it won't. I don't know. I think it's just kind of cool.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's funny that we should say that in the mountains, because you wouldn't say that about a venue, because couples know that there's couples going in there every weekend, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I guess they probably attach more significance to a little patch, a little russet, a little bit of grass that they stood on in the Kerrang or Brothers Point or somewhere in Glencoe. They probably attach more to that, don't they? And things like this is ours, because it's so open and whatever. So but I don't think we should feel bad about just saying, this is where these guys stood, or not that I would on the day, but because you wouldn't say that if you were shooting at Career or whatever, because there's so many people get married there
on
left,
that,
right and centre.
On that
but
point,
I do return sometimes. On
that point, I guess, like, do you, when you're shooting an elopement, do you turn your camera away from the couple and get some pure scenery shots to like fill out their gallery and almost make that location another character?
Absolutely. Always include landscape stuff for them that they could print, put on their wall. I'll do it in the morning sometimes on the way up, because sometimes you get that better light early morning, like low-lying clouds, especially Glencoe. You get that low-lying early hill fog. I'll shoot panoramics, so I like shooting with my 85, and I'll shoot panos, do stitchers, and put them in their gallery sometimes so they could print them big. Yeah, loads of stuff like that, loads of landscape. For blogs as well, so it's nice transitional elements, isn't it, for a blog? But I definitely always say to them, they'll get a few landscape shots as well, and they can print them off if they think the stuff with them in it's shite. So.
Aye, right to the point.
No, not at all. No, I think it's nice. It's nice for couples, isn't it? Because then they've got the option. As well as it's helpful. It's helpful for me because I always want to put that in a blog if I ever decide to blog at any point. It's really, really important, isn't it, to give that sense, just like you get, So I'll do that in the morning, as well as when the couple are there, shooting around all the time, 360. I just love being in that environment anyway, so I get excited any bit of light, and I'm concentrating on that, and sometimes forget a couple of the
Yeah. Who are the couple? I don't know. Yeah. Well, Sean, we'll wrap up with two questions that we always like to ask.
Cool.
Do you have any book recommendations? And I realize.
Do I have any book recommendations?
Yes. And now, when we asked Neil, he went straight into his library and he was pulling out fucking books upon books upon books. But when we asked Rebecca Carpenter just recently, she doesn't read. So you can fit anywhere in between those two mentors.
Okay, I have got so many books on the go just now, guys. It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Because it's such a busy year. I never had time, right?
Yeah.
And I get bought books all the time. Justina buys me books. My mum buys me books all the time. I love to read. I'm not a massive fiction reader.
Mm-hmm.
I do like more sort of, I don't know what you call it, philosophical or stuff about nature, stuff about the night sky, various bits and pieces like that. The one I'm reading just now is called Notes from a Summer Cottage, right? And my granddad gave me it. Now, my granddad's 99, and his sight's not great anymore, and but he's got this audio book thing, and he was listening to it. And my granddad was a massive influence on me when I was younger. This is the first guy who took me hill walking and things like that. I think I said that in the last podcast.
Yeah, we do.
Massive influence on my interest in nature and the stars and wildlife and the mountains. So he listened to this book on his thing, and he said to my mum, he said, "Oh, I must get you on this book." And so he ordered a hard copy for me, and he's written in it, he can hardly see and he can hardly write. He's 99, but he was desperate to write me a wee message in it, and he wrote me a lovely little message. And it's called Notes from a Summer Cottage, and it's just about this lady in Sweden who moves into an old cottage that she has to renovate, but there's loads of wildlife in there already sort of inhabited in the place. And it's just a story about our relationship with animals and wildlife and living in sort of harmonious, but then it goes into like all these cool facts about bees and squirrels and stuff I never knew. Just really interesting ideas about wildlife. It's a fascinating book. It doesn't sound very interesting, but it's really, if you're in any way interested in nature at all, or just that, then definitely Notes from a Summer Cottage.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
Again, I've got so many on the go, guys. I can't even think right now. So
very cool, man. Very cool.
That's what I'm reading right now. Yeah, I can't remember who wrote it. Sorry, guys. But you can look that
We'll
up.
find it online. Yeah.
Yes.
So, last question: what is your one major piece of advice for any newcomers to the industry? What's the one thing you would want to tell any newcomer to the industry?
Take your time. Be open to learning always. As I think is the biggest thing. Don't expect things to happen very quickly, and if they do, don't get complacent that it'll always be like that trajectory. It will never. Just be open to learning, regardless of who you're learning from. You can learn from people that have just stepped in. I can learn from people that have just stepped into the industry even more than I could somebody who's been doing it kind of 20, 30 years. And when you go to a wedding, leave your fucking ego at home. You're not an artist. You're there to look after a couple and give them nice pictures and memories. And you are providing a service as much as you want to be the big creative or whatever like that. Just try and be humble, take your time, and never stop being curious about the craft and fuck fads. Just don't jump on. Yeah, absolutely. Just The thing is, I mean, I say that, and it's you look back at some really unfashionable things that I done. I've definitely done it. I'll try and send you some of this stuff. Yeah,
Can't wait.
These early weddings. You know, like, again, I done all the fads, and that's why I'm saying fuck fads, because I've been there and done it. And I think what I'm trying to do now is something a little bit more classic. I'm trying to dial down my edit to a more thing that might look okay in 10 years. But then again, it's off the time, isn't it? So does it really matter? But but some of the fads are just absolutely 100% honking. So was that a long-winded way? But ultimately,
that was beautiful.
It was absolutely beautiful. It reminded me, when you were saying leave your egos at home, it reminded me of one of my favourite lines from a workshop. It's like, you're no more important than a chocolate fountain at the end of the day.
There you go.
Which
well, that's more lovely than the way I put it. So yeah, no, absolutely, that's what it is, isn't it?
It's also very brutal.
What was that, mate?
It's also pretty brutal.
It's also sad as well.
Yeah, it's like there's a balance there,
and you think, it's just like, okay, I've done all the hard. Yeah, how many years of learning and training, and this fountain's way more important. Yeah, right. I think it's funny because, like, now when I turn up to weddings, it's a lot different than it was back in the day. I think the brides and grooms are seeing photographers certainly as more or less of a service provider, and we've become more of a very integral part of their day, and that build up and that relationship. It's due to that build up, that relationship. They know what we need to work to get the goods. Yeah. And it's funny when some of maybe the aunties and stuff, come over here, son, and get a picture. We kind of, Jessie handing the horseshoe to the bride and stuff, and the bride's going, oh no, mum, no, he doesn't do that sort of stuff. And I'm like, I do everything. Let me get the fucking horseshoe. I'll do the fucking horseshoe picture. That's right. What I'm here for. You know, it's and it's funny that the brides and grooms are like, no, just let him do his thing, you know. And I'm just like, no, fuck it, just like give me the grips. So I will do them within reason, you know. I don't want 20, but yeah. So I think always be there for them, regardless of what it is, because you've got different people, certainly at weddings, who are from different eras and imagine different things about photography. So just be humble and take the shot, and you never know, that might get bought 100 times on your website, and you'll get extra pennies.
Absolutely. Well, Sean, thank you very much for being a two-time guest. I didn't mean to give you the fingers. A two-time guest. It's been a privilege again to have you. Where can people find you online and see your beautiful work? So
website is just SeanBellPhotography.com. And Instagram is at SeanBellPhoto. Mm-hmm. That's SeanBell photo. And that's it, I think. I don't think I'm anywhere else. Facebook, obviously, but Meta. Sorry.
Yeah, Meta.
Meta. I'm not very active on Meta, but yeah, I'll be on Facebook somewhere.
Very cool.
But that's where you can find me.
Yeah. You can find Sean on the 21st, 22nd in Brighton and the 24th and 25th in Glasgow. So book your tickets to Thrive. You won't regret it. People can find us at cinematefilms.co.uk, on Instagram and Facebook at /Cinemate Films. Like I said, 21st, 22nd of March in Brighton, 24th, 25th in Glasgow. 6 incredible speakers. Shoot sessions so you can see your heroes in action. Lunch and snacks provided. Held in 2 cool boutique hotels. You get a killer goodie bag and the chance to hang out with some of your industry peers for 2 whole days. Unless you buy Brighton and Glasgow tickets, why not 4 whole days you could get? Jeez, why stop at 2? Yeah. Go 4. If you can travel, just do it. Lisa says just do it. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Come on tour with us.
Yes, absolutely. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/perspective by Cinemate. For as little as £1, you can support this wonderful podcast, and for the price of a coffee every month, you can get access to our Q&As and any bonus content that we create. It goes all there. If you don't have any money to give, totally cool. We love the fact that you're just listening and learning. You can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. If you could maybe leave a review, we'd really much appreciate it. We'd maybe even give you a digital hug, maybe even a real hug in real life. Hugs and stuff. But, COVID, so, might be an air hug. Anyway, however,
in the meantime,
don't just survive, thrive.